This is your evening news bulletin for September 12, 2018. Here's what we're tracking. The new chairman of the Police Complaints Authority, retired Justice William Ramlal, took his oath of office today. In an address at the ceremony, President David Granger reminded that the appointment of a chairman of the Police Complaints Authority is in compliance with the provisions of the laws of Guyana. He also said the appointment is consistent with the government's commitment to increasing public trust in the police force.
Service in the force must be based on the values of commitment, competence, and incorruptibility. The police force, if it is to maintain public safety, must enjoy the public trust. The idea of public trust arises out of the relationship between the police and the public. All politics is about people. It follows that whatever trust the people place in the police must be respected.
The president also noted that the Police Complaints Authority is a public defense against the force's abuse of citizens' rights, adding that the authority allows citizens to hold the force's members accountable for their actions.
The authority is a public defense against the force's abuse of citizens' rights. The authority allows citizens to hold the members of the force accountable for their actions. The authority can engender greater public trust in the force by ensuring that the force's actions are in conformity with respect for human rights.
He said it will be expected that the authority exhibits the qualities of impartiality, integrity, and independence. Justice William Ramlal, a retired judge of the Supreme Court, specialized in criminal and civil law, particularly in the areas of analysis and assessment of evidence, the writing of judgments, and the interpretation of statutes, among other skills. He also served as a magistrate for several years, a state counsel in the Attorney General's chambers, a teacher of commercial law, and led a successful private practice. The retired judge attended the University of Guyana, where he read for the Bachelor of Laws Part 1 before proceeding to the University of West Indies Cave Hill campus, where he completed Parts 2 and 3. He is also the holder of a legal education certificate from the Hugh Wooding Law School and was a part of several professional training programs. More news in a moment.
We can do more with love. We can share strength with love. We can sail off to something beautiful. Yeah, all I need is more of you. All you need is more of me. Our love is all that we need. Yeah, I wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love you right. Gotta let her love, let her love, let her love, let her love for the coldest nights. I wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love you right. Gotta let her love, let her love, let her love, let her love for the coldest nights. So can we?
Welcome back. All members of the former PPP Civic Cabinet who served during the sale and transfer of lands in Sparendam area known as Pradoville 2 have been summoned to face new questioning by the Special Organized Crime Unit. This morning, former Minister of Works Robeson Ben and former Minister of Tourism Manzoor Nadir found themselves before SOCU investigators. They were accompanied by former Minister of Human Services and Education Priya Manikchand. She was there this morning in her capacity as an attorney, but yesterday she faced questioning as a former cabinet minister. She said it was all a waste of time.
They've asked about the same things that you know about in the press. They've asked about valuation, whether there was a valuation in the land. They've asked about whether the cabinet made a decision about who to give land to. The issues that have been out there, have been in the press, and have been answered publicly repeatedly, both by members of the former cabinet as well as information that was out there in the press.
Ms. Manikchand said when she was questioned, she was grilled about how and why the former cabinet granted approval for the transfer of the seaside land to the Central Housing and Planning Authority for those government ministers and others at the time to gain access. She said the questioning has evolved into harassment, and she suspects it may be a way to divert the public's attention from other issues facing the country, and that the current government may be failing to address in a proper manner. Former Minister Robeson Ben said he answered all of the questions that were put to him and pointed out that at the time of the land transfer and sale to government ministers and officials, there was a national security issue since a minister was assassinated, and therefore the government at the time did what needed to be done to create a safer environment.
Did point out that overall, at the time when the ministers were being attacked, we had the history or the recent issue of a minister of the government, Minister Sarsour, being assassinated along with members of his family, that the security of the senior members of the government and senior personages was an overriding issue, and that it had to do with the stability of the country to make sure that the president and other members of the cabinet, as they were wont, to be secure and safe.
SOCU has been investigating the transfer and sale of the seaside land for over a year. Under the former PPP government, a number of its ministers and officials and other public officials were sold the land at a price far below market value. Many of them built sprawling homes, but few took up residence. Opposition leader Barra Jagdeo, who got the largest plot of land in the area, still lives in the community. Manik Chan sold her dream home not too long after construction for a reported price of close to $100 million. The land was sold to the officials at a price that was far below what the ordinary home builder was asked to pay. The matter remains under probe. Let's tell you now that President David Granger today said he intends to stick with his two nominees for the position of Chancellor and Chief Justice. He told reporters just after the swearing-in of the new Police Complaints Authority chairman that he had a process that was transparent to arrive at his nominees. He said the opposition leader has not provided any process to justify his rejection of both nominees. Mr. Granger said if the opposition leader could show that he had a similar process that was used to justify the rejection of the nominees, then it might be something to consider. Back in February, the opposition leader Barra Jagdeo wrote the president and informed him that he has not found a favor with the nominees for the top two judicial posts in the country, essentially blocking the appointment of Justice Kenneth Benjamin as Chancellor of the Judiciary and Justice Yonit Cummings Edwards as the Chief Justice. Under the Constitution, there must be agreement between the President and opposition leader on the appointments of Chancellor and Chief Justice. Article 127(1) of the Constitution states that the Chancellor and Chief Justice shall be appointed by the President, acting after obtaining the agreement of the Leader of the Opposition. The President appears not prepared to offer any new nominees. In the courts, with his head bowed, 44-year-old laborer Mohan Sukhdeo from Fowles on the east coast of Demerara appeared in court this morning and was remanded to jail for the murder of his son, 21-year-old Satish Sukhdeo. At the Cove and John Magistrates Court, the accused was not required to enter a plea to the indictable murder charge. The court learned that the incident took place on Saturday, September 8 at the family home. It is alleged that the man was having an argument with his wife, and during that row, he started to choke the woman. The son, Satish Sukhdeo, got involved and pulled the father away from his mother. The man, who it is believed might have been drunk at the time, removed a louver pane and broke it. He used a broken piece of the window to stab his son to death. The murder shocked the entire village, with neighbors saying that although the man was a lover of alcohol, they have never seen him in a fit of rage. The abused mother held on to her son's bleeding body as he died. The elder Sukhdeo was arrested and charged. He will make his next court appearance in October. And finally, the Guyana Teachers Union and the Ministry of Education held their first preparatory meeting yesterday for arbitration. After the meeting, the GTU president said there was some disagreement over some of the proposed terms of reference for the arbitration. However, the two sides also reached agreement on other issues. They are expected to meet again on Friday. The Guyana Teachers Union is on record as stating that it prefers someone from outside of Guyana to head the arbitration panel. The Education Ministry has not publicly indicated its preference. Last Friday, the GTU called off the nationwide strike by teachers as the two sides agreed to move their salary dispute to arbitration. Teachers spent 8 days away from work as they pressed the government to offer them an acceptable increase in their wages. The offer that was made by the government was considered not proper enough by the teachers. And that's the News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Alana Bose.